Well, it's your girl Megan Womack,
And Aldis Hodge.
and you just locked in with Checking In, we're rolling out. So Aldis,
Yo.
thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for
You are a
having me.
very phenomenal and talented actor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've been following you since your first season of Leverage.
Oh, word. Cool.
And one of my all-time favorites, Underground.
Thank you.
Love that show. Do you know about any networks picking it up?
If they picked it up, I don't know if they can pick me up because I'm busy doing City on the Hill.
I know that's
Yeah,
right.
but no, I know a lot of people, I get that question a lot. Unfortunately, I think Underground is done. Yeah, it's a sad day. We had a good run though.
You definitely had a good first
Yeah.
2 seasons.
Yeah.
And it left me feeling really good about the show, about you, and everything of that nature.
Dig it.
So, in a role, when you pick a role, what is the first thing that you actually dissect?
I just, as far as television goes, if I'm looking at 5 or 6 years of doing something, I want to make sure that I'm seated comfortably where I can, play a character that has room for growth, evolution, but also a character that I believe in. Right.
Definitely.
When it came to this role for City, I believe this character serves to spark a bit of a conversation, with the audience. He's going to Boston
Yeah.
to knock it down. He's seeking jail time for crooked cops. This is something that speaks to me and speaks to what we're living in today, right? So however we attack or approach that subject matter, I think it can serve a higher purpose beyond entertainment, and I think that is what we as artists have a great opportunity to do with whatever we do.
Definitely.
We can influence the culture, represent the culture, but we can always move the needle forward towards cultural progression. I think we can do a lot with this show in that aspect.
Definitely.
Plus, we just have a solid team. We have
Right.
a monster cast, we have a monster production team, we got a monster network.
Definitely. And you're speaking about the new show, City on the Hill.
Yeah.
It premiered Sunday, June 16th on Showtime, 9 p.m.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yes.
9 p.m. Don't act like you don't know.
I tell you, check in. But now, something a lot of people may not know about you is that you're an engineer,
Yeah,
specifically a micro-mechanical watchmaker.
yeah.
So what are some other things that people may not know about you?
So I'm also a painter. I pretty much just paint for
Young
myself.
Jacob
but
Lawrence?
Well, I don't know about that.
Right.
I'm rusty. But no, I've always painted for myself. I painted, throughout the years. I've always been an artist. Love painting and architecture, which is what led me to watchmaking. But I debuted some of my work for the very first time publicly in 2018.
Congratulations.
At the LA show. Thank you.
That's big.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we're gonna do it. So,
Might as well.
if I find the time to actually finalize and finish my collection, I think that's something I might pursue in that aspect. Because I never painted it with the idea of a professional making money. That I just paint for me and for what I want to say. I finally found something I want to say and found the confidence to do it. So,
Will
there's
it be a
that.
series?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a series. So we'll see how many I can knock out in between these seasons and these movies.
I was just gonna say, I seen you the other day. You were at a movie in the park.
Yeah,
Feet kicked up. You was chilling.
Yeah. All right, so what that was, check it. My homegirl, Danielle Brooks, she was doing the play Much Ado About Nothing, right? So
Okay.
they had a rendition of Shakespeare in the Park, Much Ado About Nothing, all black cast. It was really fantastic. I was really quite impressed with her and her work, and that girl's got a voice on her, And Danielle, I think she's a beast, and I think that people are going to be able to see her differently this coming year, because we have a film coming out later called Clemency, December
Okay.
27th, and we have an insane scene where she just kind of lets it go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, go
Well,
on
shout
and
outs
get
to
it.
Danielle.
Danielle, she's a monster. People, they know her from, Orange is the New Black. But
Right,
they
right.
don't know her,
She don't know.
though.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
Clemency,
yeah.
you said?
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah.
be-
Plus, have you heard her single?
No, I haven't.
Black Woman? Black Woman.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
Get
Put
up
that-
on it.
put
Her
that on
single,
there.
Black Woman, is insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain that work-life balance?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Really?
Yeah, I've been in this business for a long time, so it's really one of my primary focuses. But, in that, in order to do my job, I have to step away from my job. I have to have a personal life and I have to be
Yeah.
able to disconnect, to have some substance to give to it. So I'm just trying to figure out what that balance is. And for me, that's where art and watchmaking came in, and all these other, sort of extracurricular activities. They help to supplement my artistic vision, my creativity, my creative outlet when I'm not acting.
That's
and
how
they
you keep
satisfied
saying?
me. Yeah.
Is that how you keep saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because this business will drive you crazy. Look, I've had a lucky little run, and I say luck meaning that I put in the hard work for sure. I have earned it, but it still takes luck to get a flow and keep you where you're at. Because there's a lot of people out there that are really, really talented and well-meaning and well-deserving, but aren't getting the shots that they really deserve right now. So I'm lucky and I'm blessed. But when you can have the flow to get consistently good work, especially off the last few projects that I've done, this series in particular, where you have a chance to exercise some really great work, some great material with a really fantastic working partners. It's something to be fortunate about. I mean, it's something to be grateful about because you're very fortunate in that space. So I'm lucky, and I'm just trying to figure out how to keep it going.
Yeah. So with that being said, do you feel like it's harder for someone to get started, or when they have the momentum to keep going? Is it harder to keep going or to get started?
I would say that it's harder to, right now, these days, it's harder to keep going. To keep your momentum going, because there's so many easier ways to access your own start. You get a camera, you can film. There's so many outlets to put your stuff out automatically. You have all of these new venues and outlets looking for content. They're hungry and they're very obvious and open about it. So, there's a standard of quality, and if you match that quality or supersede that quality, it's not too hard to kick a door down, right?
Yeah.
So what I tell everybody is, get your start, but the thing you gotta ask yourself as a creative is, what are you contributing to the craft? It's not so much about what you're getting out of it, because you're gonna get something regardless. What are you giving, right? What legacy are you giving? What are you representing that somebody's gonna look at and be like, that's that special thing. So getting your start, it's a very individual experience, but it's much easier than trying to keep the momentum going. Because people don't realize when you're in a situation, you come off of something hot, they expect that next thing to be hot, and you're just like, you got to pick and choose at that point.
Right.
Your next move can be your best move, or it can be your last move.
Because you're not alone in this, are you? Nah. You have your co-host. You have your producers and your directors that all come, together to make this project be what it is. So
you got a lot of people.
So, but you're the actor. You're the first one that they actually see. So you're the reason.
They blame you. Yeah. They blame you for everything. Why did they do such and such? I didn't write it. I didn't ask all that. Why did they do such and such and kill off so and so? And you're like, bruh, I there's a paper. I read it. It's what I do. But it's the easiest way to actually maintain flow. I think you got to be honest with yourself about what you want to do and where you're trying to go. You got to pick things that resonate with you personally, and you have to be assured of that. Whatever comes with it. If people don't like it, you have to be able to stand by it still, so you can sleep at night. But more than that, you got to be patient. You can't jump at every single thing.
Right.
You have to be patient enough to know your worth and your value, and know that it's going to be okay, and just that, like, hey, I'm gonna wait for the right thing to come. You have to be very discerning about your fate. Actively participate in your fate is what I call it.
How should I say it? Was it hard for you to find your way? Because I know you started at an early age, and your mom, she was a real force in, growing.
Yeah, well, it has been a very difficult road. There were plenty of times I did not like this industry and had to reassert my relationship with the industry and why I was here. I started when I was 2. I've been in rooms at like 10 and 12 years old where, I have a casting director, somebody tell me, you're not black enough, and like, what does that mean? Right. Or you're too dark for this, or your eyes are dull, or you're not handsome enough for this. Or sometimes they'll do something which is it completely screws with your mind, and they say, well, you're too good for the role, which is why we didn't cast you. And you're like, bruh,
can you be too good
what else am I supposed to do? So all of these things are beautiful experiences, because they train you to understand, define, and fight for your potential. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to be here? And how much do you believe in yourself? You need that, because I've seen cats who, get it easy, get it quick, and then they burn out and they make early mistakes. So if anybody right now is going through a hard time with whatever they're doing, I don't care if it's acting, designing, teaching, academia, whatever, it doesn't matter. The harder it gets, that's training. You have to shift your mind to think this is training. All right, so now how do I get through this? How do I pass through it? Because as long as you keep the faith and the hope that you are where you're supposed to be, where you choose to be, and it'll be okay, you're gonna find ways to deal with that and get tougher. You just train it. That's all it is.
Right. So let's talk about this first episode, this new show, City on the Hill.
Yes,
so you're assistant district attorney.
Yes.
And you're teaming up with the corrupt FBI agent, Kevin Bacon, right?
Yeah.
And this was in a time where racism and corruption was at the norm.
Yeah, so this is, it's kind of crazy because the juxtaposition of the racism that we display and the corruption, it's pretty close to what's happening today.
Right.
I would say damn near identical.
Right. No, right.
But yeah, my character, DeCourcy Ward, he comes from Brooklyn, he steps into Boston, and Boston, they can be, I grew up between New York and Jersey, and I had family in Boston. In real life, I went up there, and it can be very upfront about the racism, so he's dealing with that, not only from the town, but also within the confines of his workplace, so, and he's very much the only one there, only brother in the room, looking for help.
Right.
But he comes, he's very idealistic, he's very morally sound man, and he thinks he wants to do the good job and, crack down on crime, and he's going to do it. Right. But what he realizes as he's, oddly enough, teamed up with Jackie Rohr, played by Kevin Bacon, is that they play by, they play a different sort of game, different rules, rules that have to be bent, broken, curbed, and he has to figure out how willing he is to do that in order to succeed at his goal. How much of my moral compass can I give up here? How many rules am I willing to break personally in order to win at the end of the day? How dirty am I willing to get? Yeah. Because Jackie Rohr is basically a small king in this town. He knows where the bodies are buried, he pulls the favors. He's a corrupt FBI agent. Yeah. Who's gonna mess with him?
Nobody.
And he's found a seat of comfort with the criminal aspect of life.
Right.
So between the two, I think it's a perfect pairing because their energies, who they are as men, so completely opposite. It almost creates the perfect synergy for them. We never know if they trust each other. We never know if they really are
on the team together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you'll see there's some situations where you're like, oh, okay, so
right.
People are getting crossed over. I get it. I see.
Man, the first season let you know that off rip.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is the honest conversations that we're able to have about the corruption, how it is just blindly in your face, and the fun we're able to have with how people adjust to it, how they play that out, how they respond to it. That's a part of what really drew me into the series because, on the surface, people may think it's good versus evil, and it's really not. It's about the duality of good and evil within all of us, and how much of one of these elements are you going to lean towards when it comes to trying to survive.
Definitely. You spoke about this show is bringing back the grungy grit that viewers haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Did you have to tap into something in you to make this role come to life?
I'm not sure if there's a problem with me personally because of this, but because I was looking for it.
Got it.
When it comes to the work that I do personally as an artist and the work that I enjoy, I like when things are raw because that is life. There's no Band-Aids, you know what I mean? And with this show, we have no Band-Aids whatsoever. At all. I think that we're allowed to do what we are able to do because we have a fantastic creative team. I mean, Chuck McLean, our creator of the show, he's from Boston. He's seen it, he's lived it, you know what I mean? So he understands, the real fiber of what this is, but then also being on Showtime, we're allowed to just be what we are without constraints.
Yes.
And we need that.
Definitely. This first episode, when do you think Ward came to the realization that in order to do his job correct, that he has to play by their rules? There was a couple of scenes with the judge, with heated conversation with his wife, just to name a few.
So if anyone hasn't seen it yet, I don't want to spoil it for him,
Okay.
but there's a situation where he is trying to do his job and he realizes that he's been screwed over. by Jackie Rohr.
Right.
And that's a moment where he has to reevaluate what's going on. He does have a scene with his wife, played by Lauren E. Banks. She does a fantastic job. But his wife, Siobhan, is they're having a discussion about why he won't just bend to the rules. And he's telling her straight up, I'm not that boy. I'm not about to shuck and jive just to, appease these people. I'm gonna do it my way. So what it comes down to is not so much that he's playing their game their way. He's playing it his way. But he's gonna have to get a little manipulative. He's gonna have to tap into some darker part of who he is, because look, he's in Rome. He's got to speak the language.
Definitely.
And
when in Rome,
coming from where he's come from, he does understand that language. It may not be a part of him he likes to explore much, but he's definitely willing to, and he's going to in this season.
Definitely. So tell me the dynamic between you, Chuck McLean, Tom Fontana. Yeah. What did they really bring to the table that you haven't seen with producers yet?
So I'll speak on Chuck first, and then I'll get to Tom. I remember the thing that I love the most about Chuck, and what I think makes him most brilliant as an executive and as a creative. When it comes to the show, being the creator of the show, it is his word, his vision. It's him, and we got to respect that. Good. But I remember our very first conversation, and I had a couple of things that I wanted to suggest and a little bit more input in terms of who DeCourcy is, the culture, where he comes from, and just shaping the narrative of that experience, primarily the Black experience in this particular situation, environment rather. The thing that makes Chuck brilliant is that he's listening, and he wants to hear these things so that he makes it better. He wants to fill up the scripts and these characters with all these little bits that he may not, have experienced or things like that. So the best thing about him is that he will allow you to come in and contribute. He's a team player, team leader, because he's a team player. And that's what I love most about him. And honestly, that was one of the reasons I took the job. I was like, I can work with you for like 5, 6 seasons. I can work with you.
Right.
Tom Fontana, he's a legend in the game, coming from having created Oz. There's just a leadership mentality there where you feel confident that he's always going to, even if you drive on a bumpy road where you get to a place with the characters where you don't know where they're going to go, you're still going to make it to where you need to make it to.
Yeah.
And he does have that leadership quality. And, it just kind of gives you that assurance that he has his vision solidified and he knows where he wants to take us, and he took us there. So, between the two of them, I just see they make a really great pairing as far as making us comfortable enough to feel like we can confide in them and be confident in their leadership and getting us, to the end of the road.
Where you need to be.
Yeah.
And a great show at the end. 10
Plus,
seasons?
I mean, both of them are,
seasons. 10 episodes?
10 episodes, yeah, but they're both some monster writers.
Yeah.
So there's that, because these episodes, they are full, they are dense and rich with just characters who are as crazy as it gets, but they make it fit and they just make it work so seamlessly.
Yeah, it was smooth. It was a great first episode.
Thank you.
How rigorously did you stick to the script while shooting?
Oh, stuck to it.
Stuck to it.
Stuck to it. Yeah.
Have you ever in this show or any other show, like, kind of do your own thing, go off on tangents?
It depends. It really depends. I mean, with this show, the words are so good already. It's kind of like you don't really need to deviate too much. There are a couple of subtle moments where I add a little something to DeCourcy's decorum.
Okay.
And they kept it. They allowed for it. But honestly, you kind of don't even need it here. I have done that in the past. My rule for a set is like give them one straight and then give them hell. And you know what? It depends when you're doing a comedy. Comedies really kind of need that improvisational touch, because there's a different aspect, a different execution to that style of art, right? When it comes to this, the drama, honestly, the main focus is bringing the best out of the character through the words that are presented, because the words, they're just...
They're words.
You can't get away from it. I mean, like I said, Chuck is from Boston.
Right.
he knows this. This is ingrained in him. This is what he does. This is what he grew up doing. We have some other writers who really come from Boston, who come from the background of journalism, dealing with crime and all that. Like, it's anything that you think you can make up is not going to be better than what's on the page.
Right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Aldis, for being with us today, gracing us with your presence. You guys check out the new show, City on the Hill. It premiered Sunday, June 16th. Check it out on every Sunday, 9 p.m. on Showtime. You've just locked in with Checking In with Rolling Out with Aldis Hodge.
Peace.